So let's look at how you can use OctopuSequencer to hear what it would sound like when you displace grooves. This is a kind of Gavin Harrison thing. So you'll take a regular groove like this that I have in sequencer 1, and then you will displace it against the click. So you might start it, a 16th note late, or an 8th note late, or an 8th note early. Dave Weckl talks about this in one of his early videos and calls it playing backwards. So in order to hear what that sounds like, we need a reference. So I've used sequencer 2 to program my own little click track here. So I've put a cowbell on beat 1 and then 3 cabasses for the next note. So I've set the subdivision to 8 notes. So my click sounds like this. And if I turn up the resolve point, that will give me a crash on beat 1 to help emphasize the 1. So listening to sequencer 1 in sync, it sounds like this. And what I'm going to do is use this displacement field to start this pattern in different places. So if I put a positive number in here, then it starts the pattern that many beats to the right. So if I put 1 in, it's going to start it 1 beat to the right. So this pattern will start on the 2. So we won't hear the bass drum until the last 16th note of the pattern. If I do 2 as the displacement, then it's going to start 2 lines in, so it's going to start on beat 3, and it will be displaced by an 8th note. So let's see what that would sound like. So click by itself, and then let's hear the pattern. So now you're hearing the snare drum on an off beat, and the kick on an off beat. Let's set the displacement to 4, and then we'll have the pattern backwards with the snare on the 1. If we set the displacement to 3, for example, then it's going to be displaced by 3/16 notes, sound like this. And you can always mute the pattern or bring the volume down to hear the click. So what I would do is first focus on the click, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then bring the beat up and try and keep my head with the click, with the crash being the 1. And then you can switch between hearing the pattern with the bass drum on the 1 or the click with the click on the 1. You can also put negative displacement in. So if I put in -4, for example, then it's going to wait 4 beats until this pattern starts. So that would be like this. So then you displace in the other way. So that's basically what you can do with displacement. Okay, here's another thing you could use the displacement field for. This time, again, I've got the regular groove up here in sequencer 1. And down here, I've got a 3/2 son clave played on the cowbell. So this might be interesting to see what it sounds like if we displace the clave. So I'm going to tell the clave to start a 16th note later by putting 1 in there. And you'll see that this red line starts on number 2. So now we've got, a kind of interesting sounding groove. It's a little bit different, and you could choose to focus on the kick, snare, and hi-hat, which is the obvious thing to focus on, or you could try and shift and try and hear the clave and hear this. Let's put a crash in on the 1. So you could try and focus on that crash as being on the downbeat. So this is kind of a fun way to come up with new and interesting patterns. Maybe you'd want to change this and put it on a hi-hat instead of on a cowbell, and just make it part of the groove. Where's hi-hat? Closed hi-hat. So, and then I can bring the volume of this down, and now we have this. So that gives you kind of interesting groove. Let's set the displacement to 3, see what that would sound like. So that's kind of fun. Again, I've got the regular groove in sequencer 1. I've got the son clave in sequencer 2, but this time I've set this line to be a bass drum. So let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so if I put a displacement of 3 in this bass drum line, we get a different groove. That's kind of cool. Sequencer 3, I've put in some ghosted, I've turned the volume down, so we've got ghosted snare drum notes that sound like this. And we could put in a displacement of, say, -3 for that to see what that would sound like. So giving you all sorts of different possibilities. Let's try 5. And then in sequencer 4, I'm going to put the 1, 3, and 4 of a 4-note pattern. And I'm going to bring the volume of the hi-hat down in this pattern here. It's got a displacement, let's put that to 0. So now your right hand's playing a broken 16th pattern on the hi-hat. So let's displace that through the 4 different places. These are the kind of exercises that I'll do on the drums, you know, moving a broken 16th note pattern around. Set the displacement to 2. And 3. So there are 4 different ways that you can play that pattern. So that's definitely an easy way to hear different grooves, what they'll sound like, and to come up with things that you might not think of just off the top of your head.